talking about wine, because that's not what my speech is about.
Oh, yeah. Did you like wine? You brought good wine.
Yes, exactly. So, fellow Toastmasters and guests, welcome. My speech today is about having crucial confrontations. How many of y'all have been in a situation where you've gotten a bad evaluation, or your boss has been micromanaging you, or you're standing in line and someone just jumps in front of you, or you're at the movies and someone starts talking and you can't concentrate? We're always going to be faced with situations where we're ultimately going to have to do something about it. And yet studies have shown that most people, they'll do one of two things. One, they'll resort to silence, just swallow the pill and not do anything about it and bear the pain. Or they'll resort to what's called violence. That doesn't mean getting into a fight, but they'll be very aggressive about it, and they'll be very rude about it when someone does something that they didn't like. Neither one of these approaches are healthy. You want to create a situation where you've had a conversation, a confrontation with that person, and confrontation is not necessarily a bad word, with that person, and yet you've gotten the desired results that you want, and that person also feels good about it. And you can make sure that you don't get these bad behaviors or broken promises from occurring again. That's a crucial confrontation. So how do you do this? So there's several steps. The first thing you need to do is what you need to do before you have that meeting. Right? Before you meet that person and have that conversation, there's a lot of planning that goes into it. So the first thing you do is you take your time, you sit down, right, and you start processing the events that have taken place. In most cases, you're pretty emotionally disappointed with what's happened. And a lot of the times, you're letting your emotions take the best of you. So you want to sit down, go through the facts, and try and process it. Right? There'll be a lot of things that will be running through your head. But once you've processed it, here's what you need to do. Summarize the infraction that's taking place in one sentence. Try to summarize what's bothering you in one sentence. Because that's what you can ultimately bring it down to. Every infraction that takes place, you can always summarize it down to one sentence. Now that you've done that, you're now ready to have your conversation. So when you meet with that person, I want to first go over what you shouldn't do, because it's really important. What you shouldn't do is say, tell me why I'm upset. You know why I'm upset. Why don't you tell me why I'm upset? You don't ever want to do that. That is so frustrating. The other thing you don't want to do is the good cop, bad cop guy. Yeah, I know, man. The boss, he's a real idiot, but he's asked us to stay in over the weekend and work, man. I'm really sorry about this. That makes you look like a coward. You don't want to do that. And the third piece you don't want to do is what's called a sandwich. Say something good, then tell them, hey, you suck, then say something good again. That's very confusing, okay? That's very confusing, you lose trust. So you want to stay away from that. Right? The best confrontations are the ones that are very straightforward, and by straightforward I don't mean rude or blunt, but still straightforward nonetheless. They're honest. So now that we've gone over what you don't want to do, right, let's talk about the most important step you need to do in that conversation. The most important thing is creating environmental safety. That's what's so amazing about Toastmasters. We come here and we create a safe environment. We make it easy for us to make mistakes when we come up on stage and we give speeches. It's a safe environment. Use that same example in your confrontation when you meet with that person. If that person feels that what you have to say does not align with his purpose, his goals, his objectives, if he feels that you're judging him, he's not going to be very forthcoming about wanting to change anything. Think about it, right? So for parents, their kids make it very, they don't get offended when the kids tell them, hey dad, you're losing weight. Or you know, when Calvin's daughter told him the other day, hey, your bread stinks. You weren't offended about it, right? Why? Because there's a natural trust that exists. There's a safe environment that exists. Think about it. When you were with buddies, you could tell them anything. anything. They can tell you anything. Because there's a trust that exists there. Because you're not judging them. Because they know that you have their best interest at heart. So the premise into this conversation is you have to go in with your mind at a place where you know that whatever happened, right, you're giving him the benefit of the doubt. Right? He had good intentions. Because that will speak in your body language, in your tone, and the language you use. Once you create a safe environment, the rest is very easy. Talk about the specific facts of the incident that took place. Talk about how that concerns you. And then ask, okay, now that you know that this really concerns me, what do you think? Invite that person into the conversation. It's not a lecture. You want that person to be engaged, and you want that person to then come up with ideas on how this can be prevented. Ask the other person, what do you think we can do to prevent this from happening again? Now that you've engaged that person and that person has provided you their input, you've now built trust. You've now built what a lot of people call a working relationship. Which means every time something goes wrong again in the future, you can have this conversation and you can figure out, okay, what do we need to do in the future so that this doesn't happen again? And we can make things better. So in summary, just remember, right, there are better ways of resolving a confrontation or conflict from going to silence, just swallowing the pill, because you're not going to feel good about it. And for all you know, it can happen again. Or going to violence, it might make you feel good when you tell the person off, right? But you might not get the desired results that you want. Thank you.